Welcome to our lecture on aggression. This and the next lecture, which will be on prosocial behavior, are mini lectures. You might have noticed that they are combined on your study guide and your note outlines. If you haven't done questionnaire 11 yet, you'll want to pause the video and do it now, then score it according to the instructions on the slide before resuming. Questionnaire 11 has a possible range of 29 to 145. 29 to 145. And your thought questions for this lecture. Women are more likely than men to aggress against their spouses or partners. True or false? Spanking is a powerful tool for teaching children not to aggress. True or false? How do you think finger length is related to aggressive tendencies? In what parts of the United States is aggression more embedded in the culture? And of course, we'll be answering these questions in the course of this lecture. In 1975, a hi-fi store was the setting of a heinous crime. Two armed men took 2 employees and 3 customers into the basement, forced them to drink Drano, and put duct tape over their mouths to ensure the continuing internal burning. While the prisoners were being tortured in this way, the men brutally raped the female and then finally decided that Drano was taking too long, shot each, and left. 2 of the victims survived, but with severe internal and external injuries. What can cause individuals to commit such horrible acts of violence? Likely more than one cause, and we'll explore many in this lecture. So in this lecture, we will define aggression, then explore when it tends to occur, along with who tends to aggress. In other words, what kinds of people? Whom do aggressors harm? In other words, who are the most common victims? Where in the United States do we tend to see the most aggression? And we'll explore theories of why it is that people aggress. What prompts this? So starting with what? The definition of aggression is speech or behavior that is intended to harm. There are 2 types of aggression, physical or non-physical. Physical aggression, of course, involves physically threatening or harming. Examples are hitting, using a weapon, threatening with a weapon, right? Non-physical violence involves inflicting psychological harm. Examples are slandering, gossip, ostracism, the silent treatment, etc. So when does violence occur? First, violence is often the result of frustration. Remember Dollard's 5-step model outlining the link between frustration and aggression from our last lecture? Remember, there's a block goal, and this leads to frustration, which leads to a harmed ego from a loss of power. That leads to acts of aggression, which tend to enhance the ego. One researcher analyzed the last 15 school shootings and found that in almost all of them, the shooters have been frustrated by social rejection. The man who assassinated Dr. George Tiller in his church in 2009 for offering abortion services was frustrated by financial troubles. The white supremacist who shot and killed the security guard at the Holocaust Museum in 2009 was frustrated because his social security benefits had been reduced, which he mistakenly believed to be a personal consequence of his white supremacy beliefs. This is a picture of the bullet hole that passed through the guard and through the museum glass door. Second, aggression often occurs when people are experiencing negative affect. In other words, negative mood, right? Factors that can induce negative mood include noise, crowding, pain, jealousy, bad odors, even heat. One researcher found that more violent crimes such as homicides, assaults, and rapes are committed during the summer than in other seasons. In the stalled car study, drivers in cars without air conditioning were more likely to honk their horns at a stalled car blocking their lane than those with air conditioning. How do you think researchers knew if the cars had air conditioning or not? That was simple, actually. It was such a hot day that if they did not, their windows would certainly be open. If they did, their windows would certainly be shut.